Tuesday, April 11th. Just coming back from the gym. Did a short workout today because I have a lunch meeting, and got a bunch of things to do before. But I had a long walk yesterday. I tell you what, if you just walk like 2 hours continuously, it's like running hard for 30 minutes. You build up a good sweat, and it wears you out. I think your body biomechanisms kick into burning easy energy, and then starts digging into the fat stores. And you can almost feel it. You feel like different. I tell you, when you just walk and walk and walk and walk at a brisk pace, of course. So, I wanted to cover today the topic of decentralization versus discentralization. So there's a big topic, big discussion, I guess. What does decentralization mean? We're seeing this in a lot of metaverses, with blockchain, blockchain people, Web3, the business we're in. What does it mean? Because there's this thesis that everything should be on chain because if the website goes down, it's still there. But I argue, it's already there's some fundamentals in place. That the more you put on chain, the more slower it will get. Also, there's transaction fees. And, smart contracts, they're hard. People are struggling with it. And it's not very many very experienced smart contract programmers out there. There's a lot of nuance, with it. It's not like a Python or a high-level language. You need to know the low-level stuff as well, because you're dealing with resources and what have you. And it's immutable. Once it happens, it's a done deal. Once it writes to the blockchain. So you have to really be sure what you're doing. So, I'm following this school of thought that there's a hybrid model will prevail. That there's some stuff that goes on chain, some stuff that goes off chain. Some people are arguing that whatever's off chain should be open sourced. But that's really up to the developers, right? The developers kind of hold the keys in this game, and it's very hard to find skilled developers that are willing to give it all up. Of course there are some, they want to get their name out there and make their way into the community. But I don't think that's the most important thing, because still somebody has to maintain the code base. There has to be incentive, and if everyone is, and there has to be some sort of management body over that. This is why I think Windows triumphed over Linux. It's not just the marketing. It's just licensed software. It's a higher quality. They can afford. They charge a price. They can pay the devs. They can keep creating processes, so if a super dev quits, some new one can take his place and the product can continue. So that's my thoughts there. But now back to the philosophical decentralization versus discentralization. So my view is decentralization is you have something centralized, but you're spreading things out, into different nodes, but still there's a governing body that unifies it. But there are maybe, a governing body. There's governors. There's people representing each of these nodes. But they're all working together for a common cause. They have a charter. They have goals, or they have a plan, a philosophy, or some business objective. And, you can even see this at a national level, like in Norway, right? Norway is fairly decentralized. Not everything is in Oslo. Whereas if you go to Sweden, most everything is in Stockholm, or in Denmark. Everything is in Copenhagen. But Norway has done a very good job of, pushing out the government institutions and the government offices to the smaller towns. So it's decentralized. So if Oslo goes down, the other towns can quickly pick up and keep continuing. But they're all continuing for, the purposes of Norway, to do the governance of Norway and to make sure Norway is a good place to live. Discentralization is, I think, what a lot of people want. You have I'm working with this DAO, and they're talking about decentralizing to the point where the component DAOs don't talk to each other, or they're so, the cultures are so different or something. And, I just noticed the communication between the component DAOs are quite difficult. So there's no agreed set upon of standards. So that's decentralization, that you decentralize so much that things just break apart into very separate bodies, and it's like intertribal warfare, and they all kind of are doing their own thing, or they don't know what to do. I don't think that's good. I think decentralization is okay in this context, that you take something centralized and you break it down, but the goals and the reason for being are still there. And now back to this DAO concept of the decentralized DAO. So they're talking about each sub-DAO having its own culture, but the culture could, like I said in a previous video, focus around their economy. Cultural identities focus around economies. Like in New York, everything is based on finance. Boston, it's like education, like MIT, Harvard, so they're very academic. Los Angeles is like the movie business. And so those cultures, you have a lot of personalities in Los Angeles and New York. Everyone's in a hurry. In New Orleans, I was talking about, everyone likes to eat good food. So they have a culture of food, and that's like their economy, like the tourism. But they're all still using the 120 volt electric plug. They're all using the same highway, freeway signs, so they can interoperate. They're using the same standards for tooling and what have you. So that's the decentralization. And discentralization is like I don't know, it's like anarchy, and that's not dysfunctional. Yeah, the dis and centralization. Discentralization is dysfunctional, and decentralization is more like a risk management thing. But there still has to be things that unify the different hubs or nodes, and you see this in all the diagrams of blockchain, that there's like little dotted lines between each block. So they're all like they all are centralized in a way, but it's just they've spread out the governance, they spread out the decision making, so it's more democratic, more representative, instead of having one person say it all. And you even see this in companies. They have departments, they have vice presidents, so if the CEO quits, they can put someone else in. So it's not a new concept, really. Decentralization, I think, is like trying to do it on an industrial scale is a new concept, and I don't think it's going to end well, especially if all the subcomponents stop talking to each other. But anyway, that's all I got today. Take care.